Hello there, lovely good evening and welcome to Camnet TV main news today, Saturday the 18th of January in the year 2025. Let's take a look at the headlines. Mixed reactions greet ACC appointments. Resurrection belief leads to sixth arrest in Garden Skeletal murder case. Historian urges HALT to empowerment during by-elections. In international news this evening, Gaza ceasefire to begin Sunday after Israeli security cabinet approval. In sports news this evening, Junior CHIPOLOPOLO said to begin AFCON journey. Join me for these and many more stories after this break.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In forgotten stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
To present Camnet TV main news in detail, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. The Zambia Police have arrested a sixth suspect in connection with the gruesome discovery of skeletal remains in Lusaka's Luangwa Garden compound. The suspect, identified as 44-year-old Preteria Bandama Msela, is reported to have been the first person informed about the death of George Calaba, whose remains were found on January 14, 2025. Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga disclosed in a statement that Ms. Musela had physically viewed the remains of Mr. Calaba on November 21st, 2023 between 10 hours and 11 hours. He says further investigations reveal that Ms. Musela had been praying frequently with the deceased wife, Sylvia Mutoba Calaba, and her children from 2023 until January 2025, believing that Mr. Calaba would resurrect. Mr. Calaba's skeletal remains were laid to rest on Thursday at Mutumbi Cemetery following a police-conducted post-mortem. Meanwhile, Mrs. Calaba and her 4 daughters remain in police custody as investigations into the case continue.
With reference to error reports of murder incident reported on the 14th of January 2025 at 16:30 hours by Mr. Emmanuel Calaba, age 55, regarding the discovery of his young brother, Mr. George Calaba, age 51, in a skeletal state inside his house in the Luangwa Garden compound. This serves to inform the public that the Zambia Police Service has apprehended a 60th suspect in this matter. The suspect, identified as Ms. Preteria Bandama Musela, age 44, of Luangwa Garden compound, was the first individual informed about the death of Mr. George Calaba. Ms. Musela physically viewed the deceased remains on the 21st of November 2023 between 10 and 11 hours. Further investigations have revealed that Mr. Musela has been regularly praying with Ms. Sylvia Mutoba Calaba, the wife of the deceased, and her children from 2023 until 13th January 2025, with the belief that the deceased would resurrect. Mr. Musela has been detained with the alleged offense of accessory after the fact to murder. The Zambia Police Service reiterates its commitment to thoroughly investigating this matter and ensuring all suspects involved are brought to justice. Members of the public are urged to report any information that may assist with this investigation to Emersdale Police Station, Garden Police Post, or their nearest police station.
The Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGCC, has lauded the appointments of Ingwase Mwale and Nalucha Ziva as commissioners and Ms. Daphne Chabu as Director General of the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC. NGCC spokesperson and chairperson Beauty Kateve described the appointments as a significant step toward fairness and gender equality, noting that the inclusion of women in such a critical leadership position demonstrates a strong commitment to inclusive governance. Ms. Katebe highlighted the appointees' expertise and contributions to democratic governance, expressing confidence in their ability to strengthen SCC's mandate. She also urged them to prioritize the fight against corruption, which she noted disproportionately affects women and girls. Yesterday, President Hakainde Hichilema appointed retired Supreme Court Judge Justice Evans Hamaundu as board chairperson for the Anti-Corruption Commission and Kaumbu Mondela as vice board chairperson of the commission, among others. The appointments are subject to ratification by the National Assembly.
The Non-Governmental Gender Organization Coordinating Council, NGCC, has welcomed President Hakainde Hichilema's appointments at the Anti-Corruption Commission, subject to Parliament ratification. We are particularly elated by the appointments of Ms. Ngwase Bimwale and Ms. Nalucha Ziva as commissioners, and Ms. Chavu as the Director General of the Anti-Corruption Commission. It has always been NGCC's position that Zambia has enough qualified women to be considered for appointments fairly and equally. We have no doubt, therefore, that these women will be a great resource to the Anti-Corruption Commission. Their expertise, as well as a strong footprint in good democratic governance, among others, will greatly contribute to the much-needed fight against corruption in the country. Corruption continues to be Zambia's worst enemy that denies the poor in our society a decent livelihood. Among the more affected by this cancer of corruption are women and the girls. Therefore, we urge the women appointed today to lead the charge against corruption and be ambassadors of the women's movement for the benefit of the nation.
In political news this evening, the National Democratic Congress, NDC, has commended the appointment of the Anti-Corruption Commission SEC board by President Hakainde Hichilema, describing the move as a significant step in strengthening efforts to combat corruption nationwide. Party President Joseph Kasonde views the appointment as a timely measure aimed at promoting transparency and accountability in the fight against corruption. Mr. Kasonde also called for professionalism and independence from the new board as it undertakes its mandate. The NDC leader also described the current economic state as stable, citing non-fluctuations of commodity prices and a peaceful political climate as indicators of progress. The NDC president further announced some appointments within his party, which saw Mufaya Hingombe being appointed as Secretary General, Timothy Mulusa as Deputy Secretary General, and Christopher Katepu as party spokesperson, among others.
2025, we've been greeted with a very good new year from His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia for having appointed the board under the Anti-Corruption Commission. I think on that one, Your Excellency President HH7, we are very thankful, and this is a very good new year as far as fighting corruption is concerned. So we are saying so because last time, when there was a dissolution of the Anti-Corruption Commission, as usual, we had armchair critics who could not even give a space to the president to say what has happened, what is he going to do. Now, with the patience the president has, and they're also taking time to see that, make sure he puts things in place for the betterment of Zambia. Here we are today, there is an Anti-Corruption Commission board in place, and we are saying congratulations HH, and then we welcome our commissioners, and we believe these commissioners, they are going to do their work professionally, independently, and without political interference. The little I know is that today, as we speak, as far as this government is concerned, the last government is concerned, the state of the economy today We can't say it's very good, it's very bad. We can simply say it is stable. Stable in what sense? There is no fluctuation of prices today. The inflation rate, we cannot say it's going skyrocketing or whatever. You see, what President HH7 did was to say, let's take the people of Zambia and see that the true state of the economy should be seen. Because there was too much blanket statement by having the subsidy in place. Fire Ingombe as the Secretary General for National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the UPND Alliance. Mr. Mfaya Ingombe, we please email. And what we will do.
The Community Action Against Corruption, CAAC, has welcomed the appointment of the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC Board and Director General with reservations about some appointees. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo says his organization remains cautious, citing concerns about potential bias and political influence in the ACC's work. He urged Zambians to withhold judgment and assess the appointees based on their performance and contribution to the anti-corruption fight. Mr. Tembo noted that previous leadership appointments often fell short of public expectations despite initial optimism, emphasizing the need for accountability and competence in the new ACC leadership.
We have welcomed the appointment of the new Anti-Corruption Commission Board and the new Director to the Anti-Corruption Commission because this has been long overdue. But we wish to advise Zambians not to get too excited about the appointments, not until we see how these appointees are going to perform and deliver to the Zambians in the fight against corruption. Because it has been a tendency by many Zambians and the stakeholder organizations to praise and overrate people when they are appointed into various positions, but at the end of the day we do get disappointed as Zambians. So on this one we are giving a benefit of doubt to our colleagues who have been appointed, not until we see how they're going to perform and deliver to the Zambians. That will be the time when we can rate them and put them in the position to know whether they will deliver for the Zambians or they will just be like any other appointees that we've seen at the Anti-Corruption Commission. Otherwise, at this point in time, we have reservations and we can only comment later when these people prove themselves to the Zambians.
Renowned Lusaka-based historian Professor Bizek Piri has called on the government to suspend the distribution of empowerment materials during by-elections to avoid perceptions of vote buying. Professor Piri highlighted concerns raised by Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, in its report on the Kawambwa by-elections, which cited allegations of voter inducement by ruling party officials. He emphasized that government officials must uphold integrity during election periods, urging them to focus on honest engagement with voters rather than leveraging public resources for political gain. Professor Piri added that withdrawing such initiatives during by-elections would promote fair competition and safeguard public trust in the electoral process.
Has experienced a lot of challenges as a result of the drought that we experienced last time. Most areas are having serious shortages of food, and the government through certain agencies have come up with resources to support and to help these people that are in that situation. But also in the past, I think we always need to learn from the past. In the past, previous governments have ensured that where there are elections taking place, during the campaign period, especially when the election date is about to come, you stop doing those kind of things so that they should not be perceived as campaign strategies. I don't think following those practices would harm the people on the ground. It's different, for example, if in 3-4 days time elections are to take place and then you have a disaster, like now we're in the rain season, you have a heavy rainfall that destroys people's homes. I don't think if the government using its agencies the disaster management and mitigation unit going to that area to go and salvage what has remained after that disaster would be perceived as vote buying. No, I don't think so. But where everything is normal, to suspend distribution for just a week so that the campaigns go on, people vote, I don't think that could be considered that, you know, concern for the people will not vote for us. I don't think so. It's better to follow the rules and the regulations as they are in place. Also, yes, ministers can go and campaign, but vote buying itself should not be allowed. I'm saying, you know, going there to begin distributing.
Still in politics, the opposition Socialist Party has accused the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, of intimidating bus drivers who provide transport services to opposition members. Party National Youth Secretary Stanley Mubata claims UPND Youth Chairman Gilbert Liswaniso has been threatening drivers hired for events such as gatherings, funerals, and rallies. Mr. Mubata expressed disappointment, stating that the UPND was elected to end lawlessness in public spaces like bus stations and markets, but has failed to uphold its promises. The allegations come after a Socialist Party hired 15 buses to transport mourners from Chawama to Leopards Hill for the burial of late Chawama constituency chairman. Mr. Mbata claims 7 of the drivers were warned that they would be banned from operating in Lusaka bus stations if they ferried Socialist Party members. Additionally, the Socialist Party has supported Transparency International Zambia (TIZ's) statement on alleged voter buying in Kawambwa by-election, accusing the Electoral Commission of Zambia (ECZ) of being compromised and calling for the dissolution of its board to restore public trust.
The statement by TIZ, we saw Honorable Minister Elvis Nkanu refusing that they were not buying votes in Kawambwa. It is a well-known fact that Balepa Ngombe, Balepa Mbushi, Balepa Rama voters, and they've been using social cash transfer and also money through other activities to sponsor and support, you know, their fraudulent elections. This has been happening. What TIZ stated in their statement is a clear indication of what has been happening on the ground. And clearly so, even other church organizations have confirmed their corrupt activities. It is therefore shocking and disappointing that the UPND can continue to hide in their armpits that there is no corruption, that there is no fraudulent elections. It is a shame that we have a government that won an election on the background that they will ensure that there is no such activities, but they are the ones championing corrupt activities. This is a government that is full of looters, corrupt individuals, and they don't deserve to be in power. Yes. We are calling upon all young people in this country and all those that are well-meaning to continue preparing, put on their gumboots, put on their boots, and begin to fight and kick out thieves. They are using public money, public resources, including manipulating ECZ, and we are also disappointed that ECZ has been a conduit and a channel, medium, used to propel the agenda of the UPND. Going forward, we don't consider ECZ as ECZ of the Republic of Zambia, but it is an arm of the UPND. Yeah. We therefore demand that since ECZ has not worked to the expectations of the Zambian people, the entire ECZ officials who are appointed by President Hichilema resign or must be dissolved with immediate effect.
The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has suspended Chongwe Municipal Council from functioning as a planning authority with immediate effect. The decision, announced by Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, is in accordance with the Urban and Regional Planning Act No. 3 of 2015, which allows for such action if a council fails to meet its obligations. Mr. Piri says the suspension follows a recommendation from the Lusaka Provincial Planning Authority, which cited the council's inability to fulfill its planning responsibilities. He says as a result of the suspension, the Provincial Planning Authority will take over planning functions in Chongwe to ensure the continuity of development initiatives in the area, while applications for land use, subdivision and other planning permissions in Chongwe will now be handled by the Lusaka Province Planning Authority.
So we would like to take this opportunity to inform the public that the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Honorable Garen Kombo, has suspended Chongwe Municipal Council as a planning authority with immediate effect. This suspension is according to the Regional and Urban Planning Act of 2018, which gives power to the minister under Section 12, subsection 2 and 3, to suspend a local authority as a planning authority at the recommendation of the Provincial Planning Authority. The suspension of Chongwe follows failure by the authority to implement development control and planning as prescribed under the Urban and Regional Planning Act. This suspension therefore sends as a strong warning to all the local authorities across the country who have been designated as planning authorities to discharge their duties in accordance with the law. The issues of land administration, development control and planning are extremely important for the development of the country, and it is very important therefore that local authorities discharge these duties in accordance with the law. The ministry remains committed to ensure that there is adherence to principles of effective planning, control across the country for all the planning authorities. With this suspension, it means therefore that all matters to do with land administration, development control, planning, subdivision.
Economist Emmanuel Zulu has urged government to intensify investments in agriculture, energy and mining to achieve Zambia's 6.6% GDP growth target for 2025. Mr. Zulu identified these sectors as pivotal to economic growth and called for urgent measures to address energy challenges that continue to hinder production, particularly in mining and other industries. He observed that Zambia missed its 4.4% GDP growth target last year due to disruptions in agriculture and energy caused by drought, stressing the need for strategic interventions to overcome these challenges. Mr. Zulu further highlighted that enhancing production in key sectors would stabilize the local currency and boost foreign exchange reserves, driving sustainable economic growth.
Projected, a growth of 6.6% for this year is mostly, dependent on two key sectors, and that is the mining sector and the agriculture sector. The output in these two sectors will be very key in ensuring that Zambia achieves that. But we are also cognizant of the enabling sector, which is the energy sector. So with the challenges that we are facing in the energy sector, we still see that if these challenges will not be resolved, the mining sector is still going to face setbacks, and that will actually, disadvantage us in terms of output and achieving the targeted growth rate. Agriculture still remains, the traditional in terms of it's not really mechanized to a level where we are utilizing or fully utilizing the land. I think we need to ensure that the government directs more resources to mechanization in terms of agricultural methods. This is also going to feed in the manufacturing sector, because I think the two sectors are interlinked in terms of the linkages. So there is an interplay between agriculture and manufacturing, and an enabler which is energy needs to be sufficient. So we hope that that will be the policy direction in terms of government prioritization if we are to achieve that 6.6% growth rate.
The Timba Association of Zambia has called on the government to establish additional timber exchange centers nationwide to curb smuggling and ensure profitable trade. Association President Charles Masange says the Sioma Timber Exchange Center alone cannot address issues such as illegal exports to Tanzania through the Nakonde border, allegedly facilitated by corrupt officials. He warned that these activities are undermining the timber market. The association believes that more centers will promote fair pricing and enforce proper export procedures for foreign buyers. The association also urges the Ministry of Green Economy and the Forestry Department to review the tenure of timber licenses, advocating for longer periods and an amnesty for those renewing licenses.
We also take this opportunity to appeal to our head of state, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, to have the political stance like the one he had during the campaign when he was campaigning to come into government, where we were promised that as he enters into government, immediately he was going to lift the Mkula timber ban. It's unfortunate that we have gone through such various challenges. Of course, we appreciate that government gave us the licenses, concession licenses, although at the time of giving the licenses, we really struggled. We really faced a lot of challenges whereby the license was supposed to be issued in 30 days, but it was issued after 1 year. All this we are appealing now to the current director of forestry to consider at the stage of renewal that, of course, most of us applied for medium scale, but we ended up being given small scale. And the tenure for small scale is too short. This is what we expect the government to review and look at, as we have an advantage that they are now reviewing the forest policy and, of course, the Forest Act. The 2 years tenure of license is too short. It is interpreted into 1 year because 6 months in every year is the rain season, whereby because of the challenges that we went through when obtaining these licenses, and that government also was not consistent when issuing these licenses, we expect the rules to those who are currently renewing licenses to be relaxed. We expect the Minister of Green Economy and the PS and the Director to at least consider giving us an amnesty.
In education news this evening, the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACAZE, has lauded the newly revised curriculum for its focus on practical skills and aimed at making learners self-reliant post-secondary school. NACAZE Executive Director Aaron Chansa says the revised curriculum emphasizes critical thinking, problem solving, and hands-on learning to prepare students for real-world challenges. He called for enhanced teacher training in competency-based approaches to align with the curriculum's goals. Dr. Chansa noted that the previous curriculum was heavily criticized for its theoretical nature, which failed to adequately prepare students for life beyond academics. He described the revision as a vital step towards empowering students and fostering societal transformation.
So this curriculum is a competence-based curriculum. The old one was called outcome-based curriculum, meaning that the new one is going to focus on critical thinking, problem solving, analytical thinking, and also vocational skills. And what is important now is for the ministry to orient, to train teachers in competence-based approaches, techniques, in order for the new curriculum to avoid what was complained about, that our system was so theoretical no practical skills at all, no critical thinking at all. And we hope to derive maximum educational dividends from this curriculum because it is aimed at promoting skills other than just memorizing theories.
And that particular story takes us to our first set of commercials, but do join us for international and sports news when we come back. Please do stay tuned.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Palabana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, media news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days. In Forgotten Stories, we emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodland, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
Welcome back and thank you so much for still joining us on the Camnet News Desk. And now in international news. A ceasefire in Gaza will come into effect at 0830 hours local time on Sunday after Israel's Security Cabinet approved a deal reached with Hamas. This could see the first group of Israeli hostages released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners during that day. It is hoped that the agreement will pave the way for an end to the 15-month war in the Palestinian enclave, which began when the militant group attacked Israel on October 7th, 2023. Here's a roundup of international news.
The chief spokesperson for the UN Human Rights Office, Ravina Shamdasani, cautioned of increasing civilian danger in Sudan due to targeted ethnic attacks in Al Jazeera, posing a threat to the ongoing conflict over Khartoum.
The conflict in Sudan is taking an even more dangerous turn for civilians after reports that dozens were brutally killed in ethnically targeted attacks in the southeastern state of Al Jazeera, and amid reports of an imminent battle for the control of Khartoum.
Ravina called for an immediate end to violence, addressing the Transitional Sovereign Council president and the commander of the Rapid Support Forces.
Retaliatory attacks of shocking brutality on entire communities based on real or perceived ethnic identity are on the rise, as is hate speech and incitement to violence. This must urgently be brought to an end.
Ravina stated that the relentless struggle for power, which has lasted nearly 2 years, is driven by both Sudanese armed forces and rapid support forces. She highlighted that these entities are responsible for the actions taken by the groups and individuals who fight in their name.
Former Mozambique Finance Minister Manuel Chang. He was sentenced on Friday in a New York court to 8.5 years in prison, 6 of which he's already spent behind bars in the United States and South Africa. Chang was convicted in August last year for his role in the so-called hidden debt graft scandal that sparked an economic crisis in his country. He was found guilty of accepting $7 million in bribes in exchange for signing off on $2 billion in secret loans to state-owned companies from major overseas banks. They were supposed to pay for projects including the purchase of a tuna fishing fleet and improvements to maritime security. Instead, the funds were plundered through bribes and kickbacks, the projects collapsed, and the companies defaulted, leaving investors with millions of dollars in losses. A ceasefire in Gaza will come into effect at 8:30 local time on Sunday after Israel's Security Cabinet approved the deal reached with Hamas. This could see the first group of Israeli hostages released in exchange for Palestinian prisoners during that day. It's hoped the agreement will pave the way for an end to the 15-month-old war in the Palestinian enclave. The ceasefire deal was greeted with joy in Gaza, despite continued Israeli airstrikes, which Palestinian medics say has resulted in 119 deaths. Israel's offensive has razed much of the heavily urbanized enclave, killing more than 46,000 people and displacing most of the population several times. The three-stage ceasefire starts with an initial 6-week phase during which hostages held by Hamas will be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners and detainees jailed in Israel. Also, during the first phase, Israeli troops are to pull back into a buffer zone about 1 kilometer wide inside Gaza along its borders with Israel, allowing displaced Palestinians to return to their homes.
And finally, in sports news this evening, the Zambia Under-17s men national team, under the guidance of coach Ian Bakala, has called up 40 players to begin preparations for the Total Energies Under-17 CAF Africa Cup of Nations, AFCON. The squad, fresh from securing qualification as the 2024 COSAFA Under-17 champions, will enter a one-week training camp from 19th to 25th January 2025. This marks the first step in the junior CHIPOLOPOLO's journey towards the Continental Tournament, which will take place in Morocco from 30th March to 19th April 2025. Leading the charge are standout players Ebel Salimu Nyerongo, the tournament's top scorer, and Mapalo Simute, named the best player at the 2024 COSAFA Under-17 Championship. The team blends returning champions with new talent, including players from various academies across Zambia. The AFCON will also serve as a gateway to the 2025 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Qatar, with the top 10 teams from the competition securing sport on the global stage. The provisional squad includes goalkeepers Roger Simumba, William Zulu, and Jonathan Mudenda, as well as defenders Otton Piri, James Sivene, and Jonathan Kalimina, among others. That sporting item brings us to the end of this edition of Main News on Camnet TV. But before we go, a recap of stories making headlines. Mixed reactions greet new SEC appointments. Resurrection belief leads to 6th arrest in Garden Skeletal murder case. Historian urges HALT to empowerment during by-elections. In international news, Gaza ceasefire to begin Sunday after Israeli security cabinet approval. In sports, junior CHIPOLOPOLO said to begin AFCON journey. We now look at the Camnet verse for the day, coming from the book of Amos chapter 5 and verse 4. It reads, "For thus says the Lord to the house of Israel, seek me and live." That ends the reading and that ends the news on Camnet TV. But dear viewer, like always, do remember that Camnet TV is not just another channel. Now, on behalf of the entire production team, I'm Tapelo Joe Smarter. Good evening and God bless.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.